and click record. And thank you so much for those of you that have joined us. And I don't know if you guys want to kick us off.
I'll start. I am Lauren Collison, the marketing content manager. Woo, goodness. I'm ready for the weekend. Marketing content manager for Madison Settlement Services. Very excited to be learning about, okay, you just missed the part we were talking about. I don't know the show. I know the show, but I have not watched the show. But I know you guys, and I know I'm excited to see how you take this hit show and have turned it into these marketing, sales, and leadership lessons. So I'm ready to get kicked off. And then Tom, I'll let you go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm Tom Boffman with WFG. We partner up with Madison on all things underwriting, and I am too, Lauren. This is definitely a show that Sam and I were talking, like, it's one of those things where I was like, I'll check it out. It's getting a lot of buzz. I'll feel it out. It looks dumb. I think it's just going to be not interesting. And binge watching 5 hours later, I've watched the whole season. So, and like Sam has mentioned, there's so much stuff in these episodes that it's so cool that we can put it into this webinar. So I'm excited, Sam. I am pumped.
I'm excited too. I really think it was nice to have a show come out in 2021 or 2020, whenever the first season came out, that was just kind of like, it was a life thing. It was a feel-good thing. It made you laugh. It made you cry. It did everything in between. And it's been a while, for me at least, that I've seen a show like that. So with that, I will get started, and we'll have a recording of this for everybody. And hey, Kelly, that just joined us as well. Thank you for being here. I am going to share my screen, and we will get started. And so today, we're going to talk about Ted Lasso's top marketing, leadership, and sales lessons. Thanks again to everybody at Madison for having Tom and me. We appreciate it as usual. So here's the plan. It wouldn't be Ted Lasso if we didn't have a plan. So we're going to break down the marketing, sales, and leadership lessons that I saw. If you found other lessons, I would love for you to drop them in the chat. I have a feeling this session is going to just morph every time I do it. And so I've done it once on a national level, and then now with you guys, and I'm excited to continue hopefully some further iterations, but that's our game plan for today. So we're going to start with Ted's marketing lessons. And I think there's something that can really be said about soccer as a whole, right? Like, soccer has a way of creating absolute fanaticism behind it. If you look at towns all over Europe, but including even in the United States now, win, lose, or draw, they have created a real fandom and super fans from all of their fans. And they do that because they create experiences. If you've ever been to a soccer game, and if you saw any of these, I mean, there's chants, there's drums, there's yells, there's face painting, there's all this stuff. And it's a real experience that they've created, which is easy for people to get behind. And so for us in our world, whether you're, Madison, whether you're us at WFG, or whether you're a real estate agent, it's all about kind of creating those experiences. And a lot of that is branding, right? People love swag. They wear swag. They have ownership of that, right? Like, I used to work with a title company in West Texas, and I'd have realtors ask me for our polo shirts with our logo on it. And I was like, what? And it was because we had created this experience, and they actually wanted that. And so I love to see realtors getting engaged in that. Everybody loves a good trucker hat. Having some good branding, some good swag, and then some community partnerships, I think, is a huge part of building community and building loyalty. And there's a big opportunity for that I see in the realtor world post-closing. Statistically speaking, according to the National Association of Realtors, as a realtor, I'm still a realtor, so I can say this, we really suck at follow-up. And the proof is in the numbers, right? So 88%, almost 90% of all home buyers and home sellers said they love their realtor. They would be glad to use that realtor again. Yet the number that actually does is really, really low. And it's because we're not great at follow-up. So keep in mind, creating that community and creating that loyalty needs to extend past the transaction. It needs to extend post-closing. You want ideas for great little pop-bys for your past clients and customers? Hop on Pinterest. There's a lot more creative people there than myself. Literally search real estate pop-bys or pop-by follow-ups, and there's one for every month of the season, for every holiday, and it's a really great way to build that sense of community. So number one marketing lesson is being able to create community and create loyalty. Soccer does that very, very well, and a lot of sports do, and we could learn a lot from that. The second marketing lesson for me is It's the little things, right? It's the little things that make a difference in our experience with our clients, with our customers, with the people that we're doing business with. And a lot of that has to do with experiential marketing. You remember in Ted Lasso where Rebecca had talked about these biscuits that she had when she was a child that took her back to childhood. And it's not till several episodes in that we realize that Ted is going home every day and baking these biscuits and putting them in a little box with a little bow and delivering to her every day. And even at that time, when she's kind of annoyed by him and doesn't really know what to think of him yet, and he doesn't really know her intentions with the soccer team and what actually she's trying to accomplish, there's this little thing that he did a little bit of experiential marketing. All that is, and Facebook, by the way, is a great place to do some experiential marketing, AKA creeping, right? Like all that is creeping, right? Like, what is it that makes people tick? Tom gets up every morning and hits the gym and plays hockey and plays hockey with his son. And that makes him tick. Hockey is his thing, and getting up and being really motivational to other people. You will witness that if you are friends with him on social media, right? So experiential marketing wise, he loves the Penguins, right? So if I'm going to do something for him, maybe I'm thinking about something having to do with hockey or the Penguins, but I'm putting an emphasis on them. I'm not marketing to people the way I think that they want to be marketed to. I'm marketing to them the way they want to be marketed to. And that's what experiential marketing is all about. Listening and learning. That's how you develop real relationships with your clients and customers, real relationships that last, that are not just like one and done transactions. A great example of that was Ted Lasso's being driven around in a cab, and it's an Indian gentleman whose family has an Indian restaurant. So what does he do? He goes to that Indian restaurant. The food is so hot that he can barely stand himself, and he's just smiling through it with sweat coming down his face. But he's there because he's creating a relationship with that community. He wants that community to get behind him, get behind the guys on the soccer team, and become raving fans. And the way he can do that is by listening and learning. We can do it by listening and learning and using social media and really creating moments that matter for our clients and customers. I think one thing that's really interesting is, when I was an active realtor and I was doing that all day, every day, and day in and day out, I would forget that like each one of my clients, when we were writing an offer on a house for a new buyer, or when we were listing a house for one of my clients on the selling side, this was a big deal for them. I did it every single day. The more you do it, the more successful you are. So hopefully you're doing it a lot. But at the end of the day, that client and customer, this may be something that it's the first time they've ever done it in their life. It may be the last time they ever do it in their life. It's a big deal. So I think creating moments that matter with our clients and customers and making little things big and important is a really great way to really focus in on those little things and build long-term relationships that are going to serve us and serve them, be mutually beneficial for many years to come. Another awesome marketing lesson for me before we get into sales is identity creates memorability, right? You think of Ted Lasso. Lauren, you haven't even seen the show yet, but if you've seen pictures of him, you see the visor, the mustache, and you've probably seen some memes of like dad jokes, right? He's always got a little quick one-liner. He's got a mustache. He's got his visor. He usually has a sweater with his shirt tucked in, his sneakers and that is his thing. That's his identity, and it's very memorable. So how do we do that as a real estate agent? We got to be ourselves on social media. We need to be authentic and we need to be active. What is your personal brand, right? We talk about branding, and we talk about branding for companies and real estate groups and all of these things. And it's like, there's a lot that goes into that from a marketing perspective. Your personal brand is very simple. This is you. This is who you are, right? So when somebody connects with me on social media, they know that I love my dog Hamilton. I love spending time with my family. I like to play golf, and I go to church on Sundays. That's it, right? Like, that is my personal brand. That's who I am. Those are the things I love doing. Anyone that wants to be a part of that, great. Anyone that doesn't, that's totally cool too, right? And so, but that is my personal brand. And the most popular one has been Hamilton, my dog, right? So every single day I end up posting a little story on my social media, and I've started calling it the Daily Ham. And it's just a picture of him from that day. And it's so hilarious. I stopped doing it, and what happens? Somebody invariably texts me or whatever and says, "Hey, where's Ham? Like, what's going on?" And so I've started to like strategize to where when I leave town, I take a couple I'm really getting strategic with this, a couple pictures from before, because people are literally asking where Hamilton is. That is my personal brand. That is what makes me tick. So my fam, ham, church, and golf. So what is your personal brand? We are more than title people. You earn more than realtors, right? We are more than our titles. We are more than our careers. And you connect with people. Yes, we can connect with them based on real estate and being able to help them with their needs. And I'm sure you guys are fantastic agents that really take great care of your clients. You can absolutely connect with them on that by sharing things about real estate and open houses and facts. But that should be literally like 25% or less of your content on social, in my opinion, because you're building a relationship based on who you are and who your clients are, not based on an open house flyer. They want to get to know you. And so when they get to know your identity, it's memorable to them, just like Lasso's visor and mustache is to me. So I want to parlay into the sales lessons that I see coming from the show. And I'm going to hit on 3 of each of these, just so you guys know. I think one thing that we kind of fail at sometimes, and by we, I mean, I always kind of struggled with this. We have a lot going on, right? We're all busy. Like we all have, like we're blessed to be busy, right? So at the end of the day, it's hard to dig a little bit deeper with people and build a little bit deeper relationship because we have so much going on. But when you do dig a little bit deeper, you'll find that everybody is motivated by something slightly different, right? I remember working with a first-time home buyer. One of the first deals I ever did, a guy named Chris Vincenti, or the Reaper. That was his nickname. He was the area captain of the Rough Riders motorcycle group, former military veteran here. It's a motorcycle group all over the country, a great group of human beings, do a lot for our communities, and have really cool vests too. I never got one, I wasn't like an honorary member or anything, but Rough Riders mount up. So I was working with him on purchasing his first home. Didn't really get to know him all that well. I knew he was from Queens, and I knew that he had served in the military, and I appreciated that. As I started to dig a little bit deeper, he shared a room with 5 siblings in Queens growing up. And I'm talking about 5 siblings like all the way through high school, to where there were 5 siblings in like 13 to 19 years old sharing a room in Queens in New York City. Him buying this house was a huge deal for him. It was a huge deal for his family. And so at the end of the day, had I not dug deeper, I would think this is just somebody buying a house and it's not that big of a deal. So when he purchased that house, his friends came down, his family came down, his fellow guys from his motorcycle club came over, and it was such a really cool thing. With him, I was able to kind of throw a little open house party for him. I wanted to do that because it was such a big deal for him. But I remember standing in the house after the walkthrough. It was a new home, and so we walked through with the builder and did the little tape thing, with little things that needed to be taken care of. And they left, and me and him were just standing in the living room, and he just looked around and he said, "Man, I just, in a million years where I came from, I never thought I'd be here. This is amazing," right? And so I got to dig deeper with him, and he messaged me just in the last couple of weeks. We've stayed in contact, and well over a decade later, we still have a connection. And when he thinks of real estate, even though I'm not in real estate actively anymore, he calls me, and he will call me for the rest of his life. And when I think of motorcycle clubs and great come up stories and people from Queens that struggled and became something amazing, I will always think of him. And it's because I dug deeper. So get to know your clients. Why are they doing what they're doing? It may be simple, it may not be so simple. And when it's not so simple, but you really get to connect on that level, they will become clients for life. And more importantly, in my opinion, they'll become friends for life too. And I can say that about Chris Vincenti, and I need to send him a recording of this so he knows that I still care deeply for him. The other cool thing about that is the objection is not usually the actual objection, right? So we learn in Ted Lasso, we think that we know that Rebecca wants to run the team and she's excited about soccer. She could care less about soccer. She wants to destroy the team and run it into the ground. Sorry for ruining it for you, Lauren. To get back at her ex-husband who loves the team, right? Because of his issues in their divorce or whatever. And so the real objection is not always the real objection. The real why is not always the real why, but the digger we deep, the easier those transactions become and the longer term relationships we're able to build with people. That kind of spins off into this one when it comes to sales. Be authentic. There is nothing wrong with being successful and having lots of closings and having a nice car and a nice purse and going on nice trips and doing all of these things. There's nothing wrong with that. But we live in a Kardashian world where we don't know what's real and what's fake and what's filtered and what's not. There's something about being an authentic person, being your authentic self. I've joked in the past about the bags under my eyes, and every once in a while I get a bump on my schnoz here and my hair's running for the hills, and hopefully it falls to make it look like it's still, these are things that I own, right? Like, this is who I am. I'm being totally and blatantly authentic, probably too authentic, but it allows for connection with other people. What were you going to say, Laura?
I was gonna say, like my pimple as well. I didn't feel like covering it up today, so here we are, authentically showing the pimple.
Authentically showing Tom's car seat in the back, and then he had to be on the road to take care of a client today. This is where we are. This is who we are. And you build connection based on that. Don't be Edwin Akufo, right? If you guys remember in the show, there's that billionaire that comes in from a different league that's trying to recruit Sam Obisanya and is closing down restaurants for him to have these dinners and buying him these gifts and doing all this stuff and talking about how absolutely phenomenal he is and how they want him so desperately to come play for their team. He says, I've thought about it and I don't know that this is for me. He instantly turns on him and becomes a complete and utter jerk. Sam didn't necessarily see through it, but our clients and customers can see through it if we're portraying ourselves in a way that's not genuine. If we're acting like we're somebody that we're not, they can totally see through that. We are not as good of actors as we think we are, right? Like, we think that we're able to create this persona and no one will ever notice. They know. So humanize yourself and be authentic. Be honest in who you are, your intention, and your goals. Those can be good things, right? When I was an active agent, when people would say, so what's your kind of strategy here? Like, let's talk a little bit. And I said, honestly, my strategy is to make sure you have a fantastic transaction, to make sure that we accomplish the goal of either purchasing or selling a house for you. And then my goal is that I become your go-to realtor forever, and that you tell all of your family and friends what a great experience you had, and that I get to work with tons of people based on this, because I know you're connected to a lot of people and I really want to take great care of you. That's my goal, and those are my intentions, right? I set that out from the beginning. So it's very clear on what I want out of this. I want to help you, and I know you can help me too. If I do a great job, I'm going to earn that, right? And so by setting those clear and present expectations from the beginning, it's very authentic. You get to be your true self, and you don't have to pussyfoot around on whether or not you're debating on what their relationship means to you or anything like that. They know that this is something that's very important to you, and here are your intentions. And by the way, when it comes to setting expectations, like, that's one of the biggest complaints, right, that we get in today's world in business. It's not that something went really wrong, whatever it is. It's that we didn't expect something to happen and it did. And we're like, well, what the heck, right? Setting clear and present and concise expectations at the beginning of any transaction in the real estate world is absolutely huge. It's the difference between someone saying you're the greatest agent ever and someone saying you're the worst agent ever. The activities could be the same. The only difference is the expectations that were set up front. So I think that's something really important to think about as a realtor. So the last sales lesson I want to talk about is being curious, but not judgmental, right? I think of this, and I think of the beer and darts scene, right? Where Ted is in the pub throwing some darts, getting to know people. He ends up being a dart shark. He's throwing with one hand, and he's not that great. And then all of a sudden he switches hands, and they're like, oh my gosh. But he uses this to get to know people over a pint in the local pub and throwing darts. And he's asking genuine questions. He gets to know a lot of people in that way. He's genuinely inquisitive. And it makes me think, everyone ends up liking this guy, right? Why do people like other people? And I'm not going to get into like Dale Carnegie and like influencing people and all this kind of stuff. But what I will say is people like people that like them, right? How do you show somebody that you like them? Find something about them that you're interested in and ask them about it. Inquire of them something about them. People like people that like them. And he's so good at asking genuine questions. And in sales, genuine questions lead to insight, right? Insight leads to sales and long-term business sales relationships that hopefully, in my opinion, like, I want to be friends with everybody I work with. Like, life is way too short. We see the stuff, Lauren and I were talking about the stuff going on in the world today, and it can be heartbreaking. And, we're praying for the people in Ukraine, and that's really heavy on all of our hearts right now. And it's just really sad to see. But man, you have an opportunity every day, especially as a real estate agent involved deeply in the biggest deal in most people's lives, something they're so excited about, to not only build a great, fruitful business relationship, but also a long-term friendship, which leads to nothing but success for everybody. So insight leads to sales and long-term relationships. And that insight absolutely comes from asking genuine questions, showing that you genuinely are interested in your clients and customers. The last stop on our section, I kind of see it as like the general life lessons. So I'll probably get all like emotional and drop all kinds of, no, I'm joking. But I see this as like the high emotional intelligence stuff. It's really leadership stuff, but I think this is life stuff too. And so this is probably one of my favorite parts of this. So at the end of the day, being nice matters. Okay. It is important. Life is hard enough. The last thing we need to do is be anything other than grateful and nice to the people around us. There's an article that came out, if anybody wants to Google it, it was in Inc. magazine, INC, Inc. magazine, and it was Jeff Bezos and Mark Cuban talking about, statistically speaking, these are really intelligent guys, also incredibly successful billionaires, obviously. These are two people saying statistically, there is no proof that the jerk, right, gets more done or has a more successful business career than the really nice people. We've had this idea in our mind that the people that are like super intense or kind of like, steer other people where they want them to be and can kind of be a little short and a little terse and a little jerky, like they're the ones that find success, right? And then nice guys and nice girls finish last, right? Statistically speaking, there's no proof in that, right? And actually it kind of goes the other way. People want to do business with people that they like. Ted Lasso's entire goal, he didn't know how to play soccer. He didn't know any of the rules. Offsides, I don't even know what that is, right? And that didn't matter. He was able to create relationships based on people liking him because he was nice, because he cared about them, because he was inquisitive about them, because he asked them genuine questions, because he used experiential marketing to get to know them and show them that they were important to him. So a genuine way to legitimate success is to be nice to people. And people like Mark Cuban and Jeff Bezos, whatever you hear about them, read that article, and they firmly believe that that is absolutely the case. Creating a culture that sticks is really important. If you have a team of agents working with you, creating a culture that really includes people, lifts other people up, shows gratitude not only to your team, but also to the people that are making us successful, our clients and our customers, that are making Lauren and her team at Madison successful, that are making Tom and his team at WFG successful. Without all, none of us really exist, right? And so the idea of creating a culture that sticks and then expanding that out. Gratitude wins the day in these conversations. That was my word for 2021. And whether I was just lazy, not creative, or excited about the word still, I made gratitude my word for 2022 again. I need to be more grateful for the opportunities that I have in my life, for my clients and my customers, for my family, for my health, for the country that I live in, for all of those things. And when you share that gratitude, we already talked about sharing your authentic self on social media and things like that. When you share that gratitude, it wins the conversations, right? Nobody wants to be around the downer. No one wants to be around the jerk. No one wants to be around the person that puts themselves first. They want to be around people that are genuinely nice and show gratitude to other people. One thing I will call out, I'm still a card-carrying member of the National Association of Realtors, and I've definitely fallen victim to this. I see a lot of realtors that will share like memes and things that are kind of almost making fun of clients, right? Like I remember having clients that made me show them like 100 houses and then changed their mind and then bought a couch and didn't qualify. I remember having that stuff happen, right? But when we post memes and things like that, they kind of dig a little bit on our clients. These are the people that are allowing us to make a living. And so for me, I may chuckle in the background because I'm like, been there, done that, definitely experienced that. But I don't share that kind of stuff because at the end of the day, these are the people elevating me to a better place in my career. So let's think about thanking people and showing gratitude rather than poking fun at the things that we frankly know they do. But let's not do it anyway. And that's just my little soapbox thing. So winning isn't everything. It seems like it is, right? When towards the beginning of the show, when they lost a big game at the end of the season, or maybe it's partway through the season, it was Sam Obasanya's birthday. So they lost, they went in. He wanted them to feel like, to accept that feeling of defeat. I think it's important. We all need to lose at some point or another to know why winning feels so great, right? You need to know why losing feels so bad to know why winning feels so great, whether it's in business or sports or life. And then what did he do? He said, I want you to be like goldfish now. Okay. Like, I want you to forget what just happened and let it go and move on. And then it was Sam's birthday. They brought a boombox out and a cake and they celebrated his birthday. We're going to play a game again and we're going to have to be ready. And we don't want to lose again. But right now, We're going to celebrate where we are, and we're going to recognize how we can improve. And so being a goldfish, I think, is really important. Winning definitely matters, but it's not all about profit and commissions and paychecks, right? When you put your culture, your social impact, your community involvement, your being a connector of other people in the industry, when you put those things first, the sales come all day, every day. They come, right? But when we put money and commission checks and splits and all this stuff at the absolute lead, not only are we going against, as a realtor, are we going against our code of ethics and all that kind of stuff and our fiduciary relationship with our clients, but we're also like, the balance is off, right? So when I started thinking like that, and I started counting dollars and cents and thinking of people as addresses, I was like, man, I got to step back a little bit here. I need to think about what my real goal is. And it's amazing how people want to do business with people that are involved in their community and give back to their community. So that one really sticks out for me. And Ted was a perfect example of that, whether he's playing soccer with kids in the street, buying a round of pints for guys at the pub or whatever. He was very involved in the community, visiting schools with Roy Kent, and Roy's like cussing out everybody, but the kids and the teachers and everybody still loves him because he was willing to come do that. But he's staying involved. The sales will always follow when you put your community, your clients, your coworkers, gratitude, being socially active and creating a great culture. When you put that first, the sales will always follow, guaranteed. So I think this is the last one. And then I have like one bonus kind of a thought, and then I'll shut up. But you got to work with and lead everybody differently, right? We all have different personalities. We all are motivated by different things. We've talked about that. Each character in Ted Lasso is totally unique. And they're just like our clients. Each one of them is unique. They come from a different background. They come from a different motivation. They're going to a different place. What they think is great, somebody else doesn't. And so we really need to get to know our clients on a deeper level. Communication is absolutely key to making that happen. It's really interesting. I wrote here, ask preferences. So most people in our industry and in most industries, right? You are put in a box. You are told by that business, this is how you will be treated. Right? Like you are told, this is how you purchase, this is how you return, this is how things will go. They don't ask you how you would prefer. When you are dealing with a client and you at the very beginning ask them something as simple as communication preferences, right? How would you like for me to communicate with you? Is email better? So there's an easy record of it, indexable, and you can kind of store it away online. Would you rather that I text you? Do you want phone calls? Like, do you want me to fax you if I can find a fax machine? Like, what is it that you want? People don't do that because they think that it's going to be more work, right? It's not. It's almost always the exact same answer. If it's something quick and easy, shoot me a text. If it's something a little more complex, yeah, please email it to me so I can review it when I get home. Okay, cool. That's basically what everybody's going to say. So you're not really going to have to do anything different. But what did you do? You asked them what their preferences were, and you asked how you could fit in their life. You didn't tell them how they can fit in yours. That's a very different conversation that you're having there. And so just by setting that precedent at the beginning, the number one complaint, according to NAR statistics, of people buying and selling homes, this is every year, almost it says this, is they felt like they didn't know what was going on. The communication was lacking. That's the number one complaint, right? Like of all the things, it boiled down to communication. You can really solve that by asking the preferences up front. They know that communication is going to be important. And if you're communicating with them in the way that they want to be spoken to, then they're going to be responsive too, right? You're going to get your amendments back more quickly if you're sending them in the way that they want. You're not going to have to be hounding them for paperwork right before closing if you're sending it to them in the way that they want. So it's good for us too. And it helps, by asking preferences, it helps us get to know our clients a little bit more on a deeper level, which is the point of all of this. So when you connect with each client in their own way, they will become clients for life. Whether it's Sam and him coming out of his shell, whether it's Roy Kent and learning to be a leader and what it takes to lead that team, whether it's Jamie Tart and helping him through and navigating what's going on in his relationship with his dad that Ted can relate to, whatever it was, he connected with each of his players in a very different way. And it made them loyalists for life. And you can do the exact same things with your clients and customers in the real estate space. So I think the moral of the story is, to me, the sum of all parts is greater than any one individual. especially in this business. We need everybody moving in the same direction. We have a common goal. We want to get there together. It's good for everybody, from buyer, seller, realtors, lenders, title. It's good for everybody to be able to get to that goal. We all play a really vital role. We're surrounded by experts and awesome people like Lauren and her team at Madison, like Tom and his team underwriting at WFG. Leverage those relationships and lean on those people. We're all going in the same direction. And I really think that when you're united together with a single vision, just like Ted did with his Believe poster in the locker room, when you're united with one single vision, great things great things happen, and you better believe that. I wanted to put that at the end if anybody, yeah. I'm a total nerd. But I think it's an incredible show. If you haven't watched it, you absolutely should. There are a million more lessons than this. And lastly, as is always the case, I want to thank everybody at Madison for having us. Thanks to Tom and WFG for having me. If you want to scan this QR code, I'd love to connect with you on social. If you want my contact info, it's there as well. Anything I can do to help. The rising tide absolutely raises all ships. So with that, at 5 minutes over our allotted time, 4 minutes actually, I will stop sharing my screen. We didn't lose a single person, which is really cool. I love that. And thank you so much, Lauren, for having us today.
Oh, I'll be honest here. This is like one of my favorite webinars that we've all done together. So it's awesome. And like you said, nobody left, which speaks volumes. So great job, Sam and Tom. And thank you everybody for joining. We really appreciate it and hope you got a lot out of this, because I did. So.
Amen. We're all in this together, guys. Be kind to one another. We'll see you all very soon.
See ya.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.